Yo! The green python jumped from the tree, choking the man underneath. This symbolic python-laden tree is the love of money, the root of all evil. 1 Timothy 6:10. Money lust is the sinews of war, Libanius, and the ruling spirit of all things, Publius Syrus. Although money must not have a stranglehold over us, wealth befits wise stewards of money, life's chief tool or coined liberty, Dostoevsky. Cash flow, taxation. Without taxation, there would be no government, allowing complete anarchy. Although we cannot know exactly how much government and taxation we need, by applying logic and wisdom, we can know the main facts. Some pundits desire to keep government to a skeletal minimum, and note that colonialists vehemently objected to more than a 2% tax. However, 18th century colonialists did without many modern conveniences, such as paved roads, traffic lights, and fortified bridges. What were mere inconveniences would be intolerable today. Without taxes which pay construction worker salaries, cars and trucks would become stuck in monstrous pits. I'd love to go back to simpler times when horses and stagecoaches reigned. Until that happens, taxation must fund these public services. Ancient tithing was essentially a 10% flat tax. However, Jesus of Nazareth bettered that system. In a notable incident, he declared that a woman contributing a tiny sum gave more than all the rich men combined who gave lavish sums. That's because the woman gave of her livelihood while the rich gave their surplus. The early church did not tithe. Instead, they gave in proportion to their prosperity. Many men rightfully distrust the government and desire to protect their hard-earned money. However, people such as computer entrepreneurs have made literally 5,000 times more money than men who slaved all their life to achieve their status. Besides, they often did that by age 30. So instead of working hard all their life, they had a gimmick and got lucky. Therefore, there should be more regulation to end unfair situations. However, increased regulation of all top earners is inappropriate. My father toiled all his life and was rightfully in the top 1% of earners because he was in the top 1% of hard workers. Besides, he used his success to help his parents and I who lived under his roof. Pounding him with increased taxes would have inadvertently pounded us poor people. In America, liberal politics caused everyone to pay more taxes, not just rich people. Some men's paychecks are vaporized by bills. Either there's nothing left over, so they cannot go anywhere or do anything, or must work constantly and cannot live their life. College isn't always the solution. Sometimes there's no position open in one's field of study, thereby regulating college graduates to flipping burgers, which money pays off their college tuition. Since sometimes more money can be made panhandling than working a menial job, some choose panhandling. I oppose undue minimum wage increases, though. Employers might be reluctant to hire people because they would have to pay them more. Instead, I'd give minimum wage and underpaid workers tax-exempt status, which was already implemented in the Philippines. The obscene 28% tax going to poor workers instead of the government would help greatly. Maintaining surplus cash. Many things we can do without or keep using old things we already have. I used the same toothbrush every day from age 3 to age 40, yet had no cavities. Eating at restaurants is a big expense we could do without. Unfortunately, social groups, especially church groups, insist on meeting at restaurants where other members with limited budgets reluctantly go along. This often results in poor tipping or no tipping, which waiters and waitresses complain about and which harms the cause of Christ. The Christian response would be to always leave a sizable tip. If you insist on being a restaurant goer. To counter this problem, some churchgoers are willing to pay for others' meals. However, I feel that it's patronizing and makes others feel like children, which they probably won't admit. So whoever leads a social group, even secular groups or whatever groups, keep this in mind. Social groups can substitute restaurant outings for cookouts at their home or a park for less than half the expense. Living frugally requires a conscious effort, becoming accustomed to doing so and associating with like-minded people. Confucius, the Dalai Lama, Jesus, and Muhammad walked or rode horses. They didn't have a Rolls Royce. Stay tuned for part 2.